Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Online Smicha. You know, staying in shape is not only a healthy thing, but it's actually a Torah-dik thing. Torah tells us, we all have to take care of our body, our physical needs. It's a deposit that Hashem gave in our hands to take care of. So in halacha we find many things that are beneficial for the health of the body. The Rambam is Meirich in Hilchas Deis. But we'll talk about two things that we see that people do, and the question is how it should be done, what halachas are connected to it, and especially on Shabbos. And they are walking and running. Walking is very fascinating because many halachas are connected to the average amount of how much a person could walk. An average person could walk during a day. There is, based on the mahalach, the distance that a person could walk daily, the average person, it's negeh to Hilchas Pesach for how long the water and the flour are able to be together unattended to. It's negeh to Hilchas Malicha, how long you salt a piece of meat. In so many places we find that the shear halachically is kedei hiluch mil, as long as it takes a person to walk a mil. And Chazal tell us that an average person is able to walk 40 mil a day, and that was a common practice in many cases. So based on that time period, based on that distance, the kedei hilach mil boils down to 18 minutes, 24 minutes, depending which Rishonim, depending on machlokes of Rishonim. But it was a very common practice for people to do a lot of walking back then, and it was negeh to a lot of halachas. Walking on Shabbos, it is interesting what the Mechaber in Siman, and actually it's the Ramah in Siman Shin Aleph Seif Beis, the Ramah says, "V'chei mutar l'tayel b'Shabbos." You're allowed to take a stroll on Shabbos. On Shabbos, you finished eating, or you just take a Shabbos walk. To take a Shabbos walk, it's allowed to be done on Shabbos. What is the question? Why not? Says the Magen Avraham, "Afilu kavanase lehisamel ulhischamim bekach." Even if his intention is while he's walking to get a sweat and be a form of exercise, just to walk, you're allowed to because it's a pleasurable thing to do on Shabbos. Aval asur lorutz kedei lehischamim. That's to walk, even though you will crack a sweat. It will help you. It's healthy. Walking, sweating is allowed. Running and sweating, says the Ramah, is not allowed. And there's a machlokes here, as it's explained between the Magen Avraham and the Taz. Why is it not allowed? After all, if walking is allowed due to the fact that it creates pleasure, why shouldn't running be allowed to? And one of the explanation, which is given a very interesting explanation, is the pleasure which is you're creating by running is happening after the fact. During the running, you're actually only sweating and it's verschwitzt and you don't feel comfortable. It's later that you feel comfortable. So during the act of running, it's actually an amala, it's a tircha, it's a form of refuah. But walking, as it's being done, as you're walking, taking a stroll to see what's going on, even though you're sweating, but you still have pleasure. What is the problem of sweating on Shabbos? So later on in the Shin Chav Ches, Shin Chav Tes, over there, the halacha is that it's a form of refuah. That's a way how you heal, and healing is gzera the Rabbanon, or certain cases deraisa, where you're not allowed to do forms of refuah. So to walk on Shabbos, even if it's obvious you're going to crack a sweat, it's allowed to be done because it's pleasurable. How about running? If your intention is to run for exercise, you can't. However, the Mechaber in Siman Shin Aleph clearly says like this: Ein loritz b'Shabbos. You're not allowed to run on Shabbos. Ella im kain hu l'dvar mitzvah. Unless you're running for a mitzvah. What's the definition for running for a mitzvah? K'goyin lebeis hakneses. You're running to shul. Hopefully you're not late, but you're running to be from the Asara Rishonim. Oy kayotze boy. or anything like that, you're allowed to run to shul. However, says the Rambam, you have to be careful not to make big footsteps. What is big footsteps? That it shouldn't be between the right foot and the left foot, an amma distance. That's a big footstep. An amma is approximately 1.5 feet, because it's set. First of all, the Ramah says, if you're able to make smaller footsteps, you should insist to do so, because bigger footsteps, an amma apart, the right and the left foot, says in the Gemara, takes away, Rahman al-Tan, every step takes away a 500th of your eyesight. That's what the Chazal tell us. So all the Mefarshim jump on this and say, if that's true, then it really has nothing to do with Hilchas Shabbos. It's just in general, you shouldn't take big footsteps. So the answer that is brought is, this question is actually asked by the Marsha, and he says, during the week, there is no Isser. It's not an Isser. It's not a smart thing to do if it harms your eyesight. On Shabbos, to run on top of harming the eyesight, there is an Isser too. But the Machzah Shekel gives another nafkamina. He says a summa, somebody who's blind, Rahman al-Islan. Anyways, his eyesight is not that great. Even though his eyesight is not great, so he's going to start running. However, he's able to run. Afilu hachi b'Shabbos aser. Nevertheless, even for a person like that, out of respect to Shabbos, you don't run around unless it's a dvar mitzvah. Comes halacha beis, and the Mechaber says bachurim hamisangim bikfik tzasam, youngsters who have enjoyment when they're jumping, they're springing, they're running, mutar, they are allowed to run. V'chein lirois kol davar shemisangim boy, or if they're running to see something which is honorable, which is pleasure. They're going to see something, wow, something wondrous. And actually, the Magen Avram says, even if they're going to see something which is, not the best thing that you're allowed to see, you're allowed to participate in, but to see something which is wondrous, if they're running for that because it's attached to Eineg, they're allowed to do it even on Shabbos.